Okay, so let's get straight to the point. Imagine that in a single instant, in just a few seconds, we destroy everything, all continents, all cities, all of history. And this is not a movie. This is an experiment we are imagining right now. Imagine a world where a button labeled "The End" exists. Beneath it, 15,000 nuclear warheads. 15,000 arguments why humanity is a dangerous idea. We've scattered them across the planet like careless children tossing matches onto a carpet. The United States and Russia have about 7,000 each, while France, China, the United Kingdom, Pakistan, India, Israel, and North Korea each have around 701,000. A modern U.S. warhead has a yield of 200,000 tons of TNT, so 15,000 warheads would be equivalent to 3,000 megatons of TNT. The eruption of Mount St. Helens in Washington state on May 18, 1980, is considered the deadliest and most destructive volcanic eruption in U.S. history. It released about 24 megatons of thermal energy, 7 megatons of which came from the direct explosion. That's roughly equivalent to 1,600 times the power of the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Now imagine all those warheads gathered in one place. We are imagining it. Even though deep down we know this could become reality. Approximately 15,000 units, all activated by a synchronized signal. Countdown: 10, 9, 8, 0. The first thing we see is light, nothing like anything else. So bright it renders eyes useless. There's nothing to look at afterward. A fiery sphere 50 kilometers wide vaporizes everything in its path. This bubble of horror rapidly expands, filling the sky and triggering a shockwave that obliterates everything around. In an instant, structures collapse and catch fire, at its worst forming a firestorm, a tornado of flames that erases all life. Immediately after the explosion, a vast mushroom cloud rises from the devastation. Fires rage in cities, forests, and fields, heating the air so intensely that a microclimate and wind system form. Hot air and smoke surge upward, drawing in fresh air and feeding the flames. This creates an updraft that builds a colossal pyrocumulonimbus cloud, lofting soot and aerosols into the stratosphere, reaching toward space. Under normal conditions, soot is washed out by rain, but these clouds may climb into regions without precipitation, leaving soot suspended in the atmosphere for years. With hundreds or thousands of warheads, hundreds of firestorms may erupt, sending up to 150 million tons of soot straight into the stratosphere. Within days and weeks, soot blankets the planet, absorbing sunlight and preventing it from reaching the surface. This isn't science fiction. The sun doesn't vanish, but daylight dims dramatically. Yesterday was normal. Today, nuclear winter begins. Temperatures plummet, not over days or weeks, but hours. 20 degrees below zero is just the beginning. Plants die first. Without light, no photosynthesis. Without photosynthesis, no oxygen. Then insects, birds, mammals. The food chain collapses like dominoes. Humanity is near the end, but we still fall. People survive. Survival is not living. It's a struggle. In the early days, searching for water, the water is contaminated, but thirst prevails. Then food. Warehouses are looted. Supplies vanish. Neighbors become enemies. Trust becomes a luxury. Everyone fends for themselves. Cities turn into traps. Streets freeze into mazes. Homes become morgues. No electricity. No gas. A dwindling candlelight in a hand. No internet. We're back before the digital age. The severity of nuclear winter is still under study. It depends on how many flammable materials are in blast zones, how many firestorms occur, on building materials, seasons, forests, and more. The good news, nuclear winter isn't forever. The climate could recover in a decade as soot falls out. The bad news, climate changes unfold in weeks, faster than any living being can adapt. Winters become longer, summers shorter and colder, or vanish altogether. This leads to decreased evaporation and widespread drought. Without normal summers and rains, crops fail. Most humanity lives in temperate zones, like the United States and Ukraine, where our staple foods are grown. If temperatures stay below zero for years, nothing grows. If agriculture collapses, food-producing nations will raise prices or halt exports, if they can grow anything at all. Humanity has only a few weeks of food reserves. More people than calories equals mass starvation. Modern farming also depends on fuel, fertilizers, chemicals, and machinery. After nuclear war, these resources may disappear, especially if producing nations are hit. Oil, factories, infrastructure vanish, devastating food output even further. In orbit, satellites deviate from their trajectories. Some burn in chaotic atmospheric vortices, others fall to Earth like steel rain. People in megacities not yet destroyed by the blast look skyward, but see nothing. The sky is black. What was once blue is now ash-colored. As the world scrambles to recover, a new question emerges. What if the sun never returns? What if this is our new reality? What if a nuclear war begins? Today, more than ever, humanity stands at the edge of extinction. In a world gripped by political tension, multiple nuclear wars are possible. Between NATO and Russia, the US and China, or India and Pakistan. What was once thought impossible might suddenly become real. India and Pakistan. This is a story that hasn't happened yet, but every condition for it already exists. It doesn't begin with a global conspiracy or alien invasion. Its prologue is rooted in earthly borders, an old dispute, a local conflict that could one day destroy an entire region and then affect the whole planet. Two nuclear powers situated on the border of ancient civilizations and on the brink of modern apocalypse. Their tensions have lasted over 70 years, especially over the disputed region of Kashmir. Both nations claim it as their own. Neither is willing to concede. But if one day the pressure erupts, the world could witness the first nuclear war in human history. How could the conflict begin? The scenario may be disturbingly realistic. A major terrorist attack in Kashmir, for which India blames Pakistani groups. In response, massive strikes on terrorist camps. Pakistan sees this as an act of aggression and launches counterattacks. Within days, the conflict crosses the point of no return. If one side begins to lose, say India captures a strategic city, Pakistan may resort to tactical nuclear weapons to halt the advance. India retaliates with a series of nuclear strikes. Escalation begins. Rationality disappears. As of today, India possesses around 160 nuclear warheads. Pakistan, about 165. Most of these range from 10 to 40 kilotons, similar to the bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. According to Princeton University researchers, if 100 to 150 warheads are used, up to 27 million people may die within the first hours. Around 45 to 65 cities would be wiped out. Tens of millions would suffer burns, radiation sickness, injuries, healthcare systems, infrastructure, logistics, all destroyed. This is no longer just a tragedy. It's the collapse of national economies, political systems, and civil order. But the devastation on the ground is just the beginning. Nuclear explosions ignite massive fires. Huge cities and forests turn into firestorms, releasing millions of tons of smoke and soot into the atmosphere. This soot rises into the stratosphere, where there's no rain or wind to wash it away. Studies show that a nuclear war between India and Pakistan could emit 5 to 6 million tons of soot, enough to reduce sunlight reaching Earth by 10 to 20%, drop global temperatures by 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius, cut worldwide crop yields by 10 to 15%, trigger a prolonged nuclear autumn, a milder, yet still catastrophic version of nuclear winter, hunger and global chaos. Even a localized conflict would send shockwaves across the globe. Reduced sunlight and temperature would destroy agriculture in vulnerable regions. Rainfall would decrease. Droughts would begin. Harvests in the US, China, Ukraine, and elsewhere would collapse. Some crops could disappear for years. Global food reserves are not endless. Humanity has at best a 3 to 4 month buffer. After that, famine begins. Estimates suggest that even with a limited nuclear autumn, up to 250 million people could die of starvation in countries not directly involved in the war. And that's not counting social upheaval, food wars, political collapses, and mass migrations. Why is this scenario real? The most terrifying part? This scenario is realistic. India and Pakistan have already fought several wars. Trust between them is virtually non-existent. A nuclear war between India and Pakistan would prove that even a regional conflict can threaten a large portion of humanity. This wouldn't be just Asia's tragedy, it would be Earth's catastrophe.